The wind howled, a restless spirit against the glass of the small, dimly lit train station. Rain hammered down, and my tattered umbrella was losing the fight. I was Daniel, just another traveler trying to get home after a long business trip. The station clock struck midnight, and its chime echoed in the unsettling quiet. I shivered, but not from the cold. Something about this place just felt wrong. The station was deserted, save for a sleeping station master and a stray cat curled up on a bench. Then, through the downpour, a distant whistle cut through the silence. A bright light pierced the darkness, growing larger and larger. The train was coming, but as it screeched to a halt, far too quietly, I knew this was no ordinary train. It was an old locomotive, covered in rust and grime, a ghost of its former glory. The doors hissed open, revealing a dimly lit interior. A strange mix of curiosity and unease pulled me forward, and I stepped inside. The train was nearly empty. A handful of passengers sat scattered, silent and strange, their faces pale and completely void of emotion. I found a seat by the window and sank into it. The train lurched forward, and the rain continued to lash against the glass. I tried to catch someone's eye, but they all stared at nothing, lost in their own worlds. A conductor, a gaunt man with hollow, empty eyes, appeared from nowhere. "Destination?" he asked, his voice low and mechanical. "Home," I replied, handing him my ticket. He stared at me for a beat too long, punched the ticket, and moved on without another word. As we sped through the stormy night, things got weirder. The train cars seemed to stretch on forever, far longer than they should. And the scenery outside? It wasn't changing. Just an endless, oppressive darkness. A soft hum started to fill the air, slowly growing into a faint whisper. At first, I thought it was just the wind, but the whispers became clearer, fragmented, incoherent voices, like echoes from a great distance. I turned to the elderly woman sitting across from me. "Did you hear that?" I asked. She didn't even flinch. Her eyes stayed fixed on the old leather purse in her lap. My unease was turning into real fear. I looked at the other passengers. They were all unnaturally still, their faces blank, like mannequins. Hours seemed to pass, but when I checked my watch, the hands were frozen. My phone was a useless brick, no signal, and the clock just showed an error message. The train never stopped. It just kept hurtling through this endless void. I had to find some answers. I stood up and started walking, moving from one car to the next. But each one was identical to the last, and worse, the passengers were the same ones I'd seen before, sitting in the exact same positions. It was like I was trapped in a nightmare loop. In one car, I saw a small child sitting all alone, clutching a ragged teddy bear. The child looked up at me, their eyes wide and filled with tears. "You shouldn't be here," the child whispered, their voice trembling. "Why not? What is this place?" I pleaded. Before they could answer, the train jolted violently, throwing me off my feet. The lights flickered wildly, and those whispers returned, now roaring in my ears. As I scrambled back up, I saw it. A dark figure stood at the far end of the car, its form shrouded in shadows. It began to move toward me, slow, deliberate, and terrifying. Panic seized me. I stumbled backward, away from the encroaching darkness. The other passengers remained completely oblivious, their vacant eyes staring straight ahead. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" I yelled, my voice cracking in the cavernous car. The figure stopped. It tilted its head as if it were studying me. Then, in a voice that was both deep and hollow, a voice that seemed to come from the very walls of the train, it said, "You boarded the wrong train." My mind reeled. The wrong train? What did that even mean? The whispers became deafening, and the lights flickered off and on. When they finally stabilized, the shadow figure was gone. I ran through car after car, desperately trying to find a way out, but every door was locked shut. Every car was the same repeating nightmare. Finally, I burst into a compartment that was different. The walls were covered in old photographs and faded newspaper clippings. My blood ran cold as I read the headlines. They all told the story of train accidents, and they all ended the same way. The midnight train tragedy, no survivors. My heart stopped. In one of the photos, A picture of the very station platform I had just left. I saw myself. There I was standing in the rain. The realization hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't a train. It was a vessel for lost souls. A never-ending journey for those who had died but didn't know it yet. The shadow figure reappeared, this time standing right in front of me, inches away. Its hollow eyes bored into my soul. Why am I here? I demanded, my voice barely a whisper. You chose this path, the figure replied. This train is for those who refuse to let go, those trapped by their own regrets. I thought back on my life, the arguments, the missed opportunities, the guilt I carried everywhere. Was this my punishment? No, I shouted, a sudden surge of defiance rising within me. I don't belong here. The figure leaned in, its voice a chilling whisper that smelled of dust and decay. Then prove it. I squeezed my eyes shut, blocking out the nightmare around me, and focused with all my might on the life I had left behind. I thought of my family, my friends, the laughter, the love, the things I still wanted to do. As I held on to those memories, the deafening whispers began to fade. The train started to shake violently, and the shadow figure dissolved into nothing. The walls of the train car began to crumble away into dust. When I opened my eyes, I was standing back on the station platform. The rain had stopped. The station master was awake now, staring at me with a puzzled look. You okay, sir? You've been standing there for hours, he said. I nodded slowly, my heart still hammering against my ribs. The ghost train was gone. As I walked away from that station, a profound sense of relief washed over me. I didn't understand what had just happened, but I knew one thing for sure. I had been given a second chance. Behind me, the faint, lonely whistle of a train echoed in the night. I didn't turn back. Some journeys are better left unfinished. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next journey. See you next time.